All right. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. So, got the great Miss LaLa D'iore here. How are you today?
Hi, what's up? I want to say thank you so much for having me. But I'm great. I feel good.
Cool. Okay. So, of course, first question. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, Originally I was born in Detroit, Michigan. I stayed there till I was like 8. My mom moved me to Birmingham, Alabama. I grew up in Loveman Village Projects my entire life. Um, I'm just a girl from the projects who has a dream. And every day that's what I thrive and feed off of. It's simple. I'm just a girl with a dream, and I love to dance. I love to perform, and I think that and I'm just here to fulfill my destiny. Simple, you know.
No, I love that. So tell us a little bit about growing up, right? Loveman Village. Talk to us.
Okay, Loveman Village. Shout out to Loveman Village forever. Loveman Village projects was like one of the most dangerous projects in Birmingham, Alabama. It's generations, like OG generations, like generation after generation. Murder, prostitute, gang banging, drugs, everything you see on the movies. That was Loveman Village. Like, you can die. It's not a game. Like you can really die. Drive-bys, um, and people within the community within killing each other, beefing with each other. Very dangerous. If you went anywhere, you told them it's just kind of like, nah, it ain't safe. Because growing up, like you beef with everybody. It was always Love My Village against everybody. Um, you grow up different. It's very tough being in that environment. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you have to learn to fend for yourself very early on. My mom is a recovering addict. So when we first moved into projects, um, just a lot of ways where, like, if your mom is on drugs, then you had a freedom, like y'all basically kind of taking care of yourself, you know. And then I remember, like, we had no furniture, like none. And then all of a sudden, like 3 years later, my mom started to get clean, and it's like a shift in the atmosphere, and the house just changed. It's like she's strict now. Like, we're getting up for school now. Like, she's earning uniform. Like, no, seriously, like my entire life changed because, mind you, if your mom is on drugs, she's not watching y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different type of lifestyle. Like, and you living in the project, so it's like we'll go outside, stay outside, however late, or it was just different. It wasn't no discipline. It was nothing. But then when she started to get clean, it was like we started to get furniture. Like, she started to get a full-time job. Like, she like became a mom like instantly. Like, it was just like, okay, cool. And that's when my upbringing really started. When my mom was clean and she was full-time my mom.
How old were you when she got clean?
Oh, how was I? Ooh, I'd say about 8.
Any brothers, sisters with you?
Yes, I have nothing but brothers.
Oh, wow.
I'm the only girl.
Older, younger?
Older and younger.
Mm.
Yeah,
So you got a protected little pack.
Yeah, so growing up with a lot of brothers, it makes you tough, especially being the only girl. I can remember one time my brother just punched me in my stomach, and you would think, like, why would you punch your little sister in the stomach? But it's not like, it's not one of those things where it's like he's trying to harm me. It's just like, you're not exempt. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how that works, but I have nothing but brothers, and I don't have a father. I never knew my father. For the longest, I would ask my mom, like, "Yo, mom, like, what's the name? Daddy isn't my daddy. My baby brother's daddy." I was like, "That's not really my daddy. Like, so who is my father?" And the first time she lied, she said he died. So I remember being in the 6th grade, boohoo crying at school, like, "Oh my God, my daddy dead. My daddy dead." And because I was so hurt by it. And then moving on, I'm like, Mom, nah, something ain't right. Tell me, like, what's really good. And the truth of the matter is, it's one of those things where she was in her moment and it just happened. Never knew him, never saw him again. You know what I'm saying? They just had a moment, it happened, and it just so happened that she ended up pregnant. So she don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I can't fault her, be mad at her. Like, you feel me? But I'm here. So it's at times that I do like, I wish I did have a father growing up. Would I have turned out different, or would it have been different? Like, is he rich? Is he a king somewhere? Like, is he a police officer? Is he in the military? Like, you know, just thinking about how different my life probably would have been if I did have a father, but I didn't. So my life was very different, you know.
Just unanswered questions. I get that. You know,
Yeah.
things that you have to kind of live with and sit with and try to figure out, you know, what could be, what couldn't be, and
Right.
at the end of the day, still move forward with life and try to figure out how that works.
Facts.
I get that. Okay. So, you know, dancing, right? You know, that's one of the major things, you know, a component to, you know, what sounds like at first was a passion that turned into now a brand, a business, right? A reputation, right? A lifestyle for you. Where did that come into play? How did that start?
So I started dancing when I was like 3 years old. And then later on, it started to develop once my mom had put us in church. So church is the first place where I tapped into my gifts. From praise dancing to singing in the choir to acting in every play, Easter play, Christmas play. It don't matter what play it was. Like, I was acting in it. And it became like, even the step team, like everything I did, like looking back on it, I was anointed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the light would just shine. And it just felt so natural. Even when we were being so young, like I just had that soul. Like I was just performing. Like, and they always say everything that you was meant to do in life, you're gonna always go back to it. You was doing it when you was a kid. So think about what you was doing as a kid. It never really dies. Like you always go back to it. All I can remember from the moment I was able to walk and talk, I've been performing. I've been on stage. I've been in front of people, whether it's the congregation at church to church conferences or traveling. Like I'm always on stage. Like even with me dancing has put me on so many stages, like performing, doing shows, go dancing, dancing with stars, like dancing. It just, that's where it all started though in church. And it has elevated to something that's way bigger than me. But I know my gifts and my talents are not mine. They belong to God. And I feel like I'm a vessel that He's using. And I just hope that I do right by Him and I fulfill the purpose that I need to fulfill while I'm here with the gift for dance and whatever else He wants me to do. So that's how I started, and this is how it's going, you know.
That I feel like there's so many relatable points in that, right? I think I can relate a lot of different ways of saying it's all you know, especially when you're coming up at an early age. You know, church is a major platform because, you know, it's probably one of the most underrated, especially because
most definitely.
it's like so normal. It's like, oh man, it's Sunday. All right, of course I have to do this, right? But, you know, all those Sundays and weeks after and rehearsals,
Exactly,
they build
like,
up into almost a lifestyle, right?
For
So,
real.
you know, in combination with, you know, how you were growing up, right? And everything you saw in your neighborhood, would you say dance was like an escape, or was it something that you used to focus, you know, all of your energy into, or what was it for you at that point?
It was really like like one of those things, how can I explain it? It was my escape. I remember always having an imagination. Like, even though, oh, let me tell y'all. So we was staying in the projects, and my mom that's when the big strings came out, you know. So my mom got a big string TV, and Drumline had just dropped. Okay, we end up getting it on DVD. No, VCR. Yeah, we got the tape. Okay, I would literally wait till my mom go to work. I would play Drumline. I would fast forward to the part where they broke down the competition. I would turn it up so loud, and I would just pretend that I'm performing and that I'm one of the dance girls, and I would just go all out. Every 5 minutes, I have to check the door to make sure my mom wasn't pulling up. But Even if it wasn't drumline, I would go to the music station. I would cut it all the way up. I'll get some headphones, act like I'll get a mic or a broom. Like I've always just been, that was my freedom. Like dancing in the kitchen, like as if I'm a ballerina. Like I just never had that. It was never a second thought for me. Like it just came naturally. Like I would dance, I perform, I write music. Like the creative arts, like that was my outlet. Like that was my natural being.
Wow.
So that's what it was for me.
No, that's really beautiful. Especially with you saying that there were more than just one form of creative arts for you,
Oh
right?
yes,
So
most
tell us a little bit
definitely.
about what else you do for a second.
So my overall passion is really into music. No, I can't really say that. It's in all areas because I love acting. I love making music. I love rapping. I love singing. I love dancing. I love performing. I love all of it. I love modeling, the runways, everything. It shocks me at times how natural certain things come to me when I'm just pushed there. Like nobody taught me how to model walk. I just was doing it, and people was like, "Oh my God, girl, you can walk!" Like it just not being funny, but it was something like it was so natural. It was just like, wow, like even when it came to dancing. But I was not a good dancer at catching choreo. So it's levels to dancing. You got street dancer, that's where you grow up, you just freestyling. But then you have trained dancers. That's where their mom put them in school ever since they was a little kid. And they've been trained and they're like perfect. And then you take somebody who's from the projects who just know like you just have the gift to dance and you hood dance, you street dance, you know what I'm saying? And you try to merge the two within that one person. I think that's the dynamics of what leads my dancing to what it is now. And it gives me that freedom and that fire to expand to every other thing that I do. You know what I'm saying? It's in me. And that's my expression and everything. I don't care what it is. Like I just have to let it go. And I think in everything that I do, like I'm gonna release that fire. That's what makes me different, you know.
Well, that's really dope.
Thank you.
Man, I'm getting some good stuff here. This is fantastic. 'Cause I'm learning you as I go, especially because we've only met a couple times, right? Actually one of our founders and board members, Shalika, right? So that's how we. I know.
That's
Major
my
shout out.
girl, poppin'.
Major shout out, right?
For real, major love, always.
So,
Facts.
of course, for us, right, this is our women's project. It's called Stripped, right? And so we're
Facts.
highlighting pole dance, which she's been able to pick up, right, since 2020 almost. So, that's when I first heard your name come up because,
Okay.
it was like, hey, we're talking about different classes and we're talking about learning a little bit, right?
For real.
But of course, the other night, we're having conversation and you're like, yeah, I've got a little bit of experience in that before.
Facts.
And so we were like, well, really now? Like, how did this kind of come about? So, tell us about your experience already in terms of the pole dancing while we got here.
Okay, perfect. So, if you know, or if you don't know, this is for the people who don't know. I started my pole dancing, and I don't remember the year, but it was at the Onyx of Birmingham. I had a friend. She was like, "Hey, how would you like to make money on the weekend?" And I was like, "Bet, doing what?" And she was like, "Being a go-go dancer at the Onyx." And I was like, "A go-go dancer?" She was like, "Girl, you can dance." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can dance. I ain't no go-go dancer." So she was just like, "Okay, meet me at the Onyx." So I went to the Onyx. I worked one weekend. I made a nice amount of money. After that weekend, it went for like 4 years. And within me working there, so as a go-go dancer, we each had a little stage with a pole. So my pole would be the pole by the door as soon as you walk in. Every weekend being on that pole, eventually you just keep playing and keep playing. Then you start to learn your body strength. And next thing you know, you can self-teach yourself how to do pole tricks. So that's what it was for me. So it just started picking up to where it just started to be like, yo, fast money, fast lifestyle. It was addictive, and it kept going to other things too. Like, so it became like a full on like dancer in that field.
And you started this at an early age as
Early
well.
age. My first exposure to exotic dancing was when I was like 15.
So tell us how you get involved in that, right? Like what gives you that, when someone presents that to you, right? Especially at that early age, because we're talking sophomore, freshman year of high school,
Sophomore.
right? What is the reason why you say, you know what, okay?
So at that moment, I'm young. I'm a little like fast for my age in a manner of like my headspace, my mentality.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where my mom is really strict and she tried to put a hold on me. You know what I'm saying? And then it's also one of those things where I was rebellious towards that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
This was after she became clean.
Yes,
Okay.
after she became clean. So with that different type of emotions happening, it's like you have no choice but to like kind of act out. And it wasn't in a manner to where I didn't have any fear. You know what I'm saying? So when it came my way, it was just like, bad, whatever. So I was always hanging with older girls. I think that's what it was. I was never hanging with girls like my age. So I'm like 15, 16. They're like 22, 23, like college, like grown, got apartments. I'm like in high school. But these was my sisters and my auntie and stuff like that. So the opportunity actually came to my sister. And I just so happened to be with them. When the opportunity came to my sister, my auntie was right there too. She's not my real auntie. I was just calling her auntie. The opportunity came to my auntie too, and they both grown. And they both was like, yeah, they'll do it. But my auntie didn't really want to do it, but she ended up doing it. So my sister asked, like, yo, La, like, would you be down? And I was like, yeah, I don't care. Like, whatever. And at that moment, it wasn't a second thought in my mind. It was kind of like an excitement, like just to see how this may be. Because mind you, we've already seen Players Club, so it's kind of like, not saying that was like an influence, but it's kind of one of those things like curiosity, and this is just my honest truth. So when it happened, she did express to him that like, yo, she's kind of young.
She just threw it in there. She's kind of young.
She's kind of young, but he was just like, let me see her. So we rolled down. We all met up. He saw me. I've always had a shape. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always had a shape. So it was like, okay, bet. And I did it that one night, but then I couldn't come back until like I was 18. So, but I made that night. I made a lot of money, and it kind of just evolved into like whatever it is I wanted it to be. I never really ever fully worked at a strip club like a full time, but it's like the one strip club that I did try to work at. It was kind of like, no. I remember one of the strippers, like the head stripper, was just like, no, LaLa, this isn't for you. Like, go to school, like go back to school, focus on school. And she was just like, you got talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, this not what you at. Like, you need to be dancing. So the crazy thing about it is, like, even though when I was rebellious and going my own way and doing all the wrong stuff with the wrong people or whatever, because it seemed like God was always protecting me and giving me messages along the way, like, yo, this not it. Or, yo, hey, like, you really got talent. Or, like, I'll get opportunities where I can use my talents, but I still be caught up in my fast lifestyle. So it kind of all just emerged together. And I think that's how I built the clientele.
Okay.
Because you got people like, she dancing at the Onions. Oh my God, we love to see that side of her. Oh my God, she's doing a show at the BJCC. We love to see that side of her. So it's kind of like, it was working, but it's kind of like it worked out in my favor. But it's like the route was kind of like, not the most best one, but
that's really cool, just because I think it creates a very organic way of relating to the city, right? You kind of catch everybody from different angles, right? So
Facts.
on, let's say for example, on a Friday, Saturday night, they see you one way, and then boom, you might be Saturday morning, rehearsing for a major show, right? That's going
Facts.
on. So, that's a very, I think contrasting input, but at the same time, very beautiful in how it all comes together, right? And how you're able to
That part
see it.
is
Because
definitely true.
in the long run, you look back and you're like, man, yeah, people know me from here. But at the same time, I also have everyone that knows me from here. So
No, and I'm glad that you said that like that, because that's my reality right now. And it's like when we go places and people are like, oh my God, everybody just love LaLa. You gotta understand, these people have experienced life with me. Everybody who showed me love from Love Me Village projects, they grew up with me. They shared that moment with me. Everybody who I went to college with, they shared that moment with me. Every school I ever went to, my church family, every evening that has happened in my career, these are people I've met along the way in my life. And I've dropped gems on my presence, on my being. I've shared moments with these people. So when we go out and people show me love, they're showing me love from a personal space. You know what I'm saying? Because they had a moment in their time where they shared it with me. So to see me where I am now is more passionate for them than it is for me. Because it's like, I'm living it out. So everything I deal with behind closed doors, they don't feel that. But they feel the emerged love of like, oh my God, I remember her when she was at college. Or I remember she was dancing at the Onyx. Oh my God. You feel me? Like I remember she was on the pole, or I remember she was this and she was that. But now look at her. It's never no bad blood, but it's just like everybody had that moment to reminisce, and they can feel like the reality of life. Like, damn, I'm literally watching this girl like grind her way. Like she's been doing this. You feel me? So it's like, and people who catching on now, it's just like they pay homage and respect, because it's like, yo, you just didn't wake up with this. Like, you mean to tell me you didn't have a father? Your mother was a recovering addict. You grew up in the worst projects. You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't less fortunate poverty. Like, you damn near a crack baby. You feel me? Like, let's keep it 100. So it's like, but then you still grew up to be this beautiful young lady, like who like believes in God, but you know you're not perfect. You know, you believe in love and loyalty, and you just want to make a difference in the world, and you got big dreams. Like, I've always had dreams. That has never not been my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never understand why I had the upbringing that I had, but I thank God for it, because I'm able to sit here and tell my story, and hopefully this story gonna inspire another little one like me somewhere, and know that it's not about where you're from. It's not about your household, your environment, any of that. Like, it's all about you. Your destiny is already written out. You know what I'm saying? So if my message could be anything, it will be believe and really know that you're here for a purpose, no matter what you're facing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
you were starting to touch on one of my, ooh, you was in your world, man. I love it, because that's actually one of the questions I was going to ask later on in the interview, but you kind of answered it right there. And just like what impact, and we'll come back to that question as well. That way you can give whatever detail you want on that one. So of course it sounds like, okay, you start at 15, right, on the go-go scene, but then it's almost like you take a hiatus, right? It's like, okay, they said, I'm gonna sit you down for a second, right, and then we'll revisit it. And then it was from what, about like 18 for the next like couple 4 years after that.
Mm-hmm. So after that, like, it had went to no strip clubs.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't my thing. It had went to like going to the Onyx, being a go-go dancer, and building clientele off that, to where it would only be like
the elite of the elite, to where any
no clubs but private parties. That was more of the angle in which it went. And it was just like you were your own boss, and you set the tone for yourself. And it was like, it was more private. And that was something that was just like, okay, this is more my niche, and still doing the Onyx as a go-go dancer. But eventually it was becoming one of those things where this isn't it. It's not. Your career dance wave is getting too big to where this is becoming beneath you. You have to let this go. It doesn't fit who you're becoming. And when you start to realize the reality of that, you have to become one with yourself and be like, yo, I gotta let this go. And not be like, but this is all I know. It's like, yo, I choose this. I choose God to use me as a vessel with my gifts and talent. No more half naked. No more nothing for money. Like, don't even chase money. Everything you do, do it for the glory of God. Do not do it for money. The money will come. I promise you, money will come. God, your gifts will make room for you. Don't chase the money. So it's like, that's a major sacrifice. And it may, like, you gonna feel like you hit rock bottom. No more fast life. No more fast money. No more. Now you're chasing a purpose. Now you're focused on goals. And it's slow. And so now you're in a process. When you're over here doing this, ain't no process. You know the process. You get up, you get cute, you get it popping, you get bags, and you're out. You go shopping, you go eat, you do you have fun, and it goes like that. That you know. But when you sacrifice that and you become one with yourself and say, no, it's more to me than that, and this just not what it's at. I want to take my gifts and my calling serious. Like, what is it you want me to do, God? And He starts to get ready to use you. Oh, that's a whole different ballgame. Patience, wisdom, spirit of discernment, like all of these things is things I've learned through this process. So compared to the fast life, but it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? None of that stuff that I did then, it wasn't worth it.
It was just passing.
But I learned a lot of lessons and I met a lot of beautiful souls. So I don't think it was in vain ever. And I built a lot of great relationships. And like we stated before, those people are, like they're my people. They support the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're more in tune than anything. So it's a beautiful thing, but
Yeah, it's a sacrifice.
And I was just about to ask, right? One of the questions was, of course, coming into, your foundation, right, of dancing through the church, right, to now, it almost seems like very quickly it becomes, go, the private parties. Like, did that ever take a toll on you internally, right?
it's
Like,
not.
how so?
I feel conflicted.
It's kind of like you're so popping at what you do that you can do it in so many different elements and rooms. That's the dangerous part about it, because it's a pleasing to everybody. The church people, the gentlemen, the ladies, the nightlife. It's a pleasing to everybody. Your light attracts everything and everyone. It's what you choose to do with it. So the conflict will come in to where it's like, it just ain't fun no more. It don't make sense no more. It's not adding up to who you're becoming. So when it don't make sense anymore and it's not adding up to who you're becoming, it eats at you because you're not understanding why you're still doing it. And at that moment you have to admit, like, okay, this is just my norm. This is my routine. Like, I'm comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. But then it's like, I think it's that moment where God is trying to say, like, no, it's more for you. It's more to you. Constant battle back and forth between your mind and your heart. Like, you know the right thing to do, or you know what you need to do, that's right. But it's kind of hard. Like, it's very hard. But once you tap in, well, for me, once I tapped in and I was just honest, I was just like, yo, this ain't it. Because it's getting to the point, like, you want to do a party, but if you do a party, you're freaking out on who you might see. Because mind you, you don't know who knows who, or who's cool with who, or who would invite whoever, wherever. You know what I'm saying? So if you're praise dancing at church, that doesn't mean that no church member wouldn't go to a bachelor party. So your world, these whole different lives you live in, they start to combine. And that's what really causes, like, the wake-up call for you. Like, yo, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you feel like you're living two different lives. Well, for me, it felt like I was living like 2 or 3 different lives. And it just wasn't cool anymore. And I knew I had to let it go. It just, yeah. But after that, it's like, okay, cool.
Whenever those worlds combined, you're speaking about it from the internal place of what you had to wrestle with. Did you ever receive any like pushback from, those you knew in the church, right? Or your family or friends, like once they found out?
It didn't get that intense to what a church just knew. And if someone did know, like the younger generation who may come to the annex, they kind of just kept it to themselves. You know what I'm saying?
It's just one of those moments that you charge it to the game. And y'all see me now, so it is what it is. And still walking church.
Hell high, I just hope they ain't said our moms. But in a sense, it's kind of just like one of those things where you can't control it. You can't. Birmingham isn't that big. And it's like, when you stand out and you're unique, people talk. And I think that's what the issue is. And when you can't stop people from talking, you can't stop someone from saying, oh my God, she prays us. It's like an angel. That's such and such daughter, woo woo. And then their son see me at the annex or something, and he go back, Mama, such and such daughter dance like an angel, but she be dancing, So it's life.
You can't stop it.
Yeah, what's up? This your girl LaLa D'iore, and I just finished an amazing interview. But to give you a little more about me, you can follow me on Instagram at LaLa_DIORE. I'll be posting all of my dance videos, dance classes that I teach here in Birmingham, Alabama. The name of my classes is called Power Moves. It's empowerment and encouragement through dance. I just want everybody to come to my class, embrace themselves, and tap in because we perform. So it's going to be heels and it's also going to be hip hop. And just stay tuned. There's so much more to come. You can follow me. No, you can add me on Facebook at the same LaLa D'iore, LaLaDiore. Add me on Snapchat. It's the same LaLa D'iore. YouTube, and you can Google me. And just stay tuned. It's so much more to come, and I thank y'all for tapping in with me on this journey. And I love you all. Peace.